Hello my friends, welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. My name is Sana. I hope whatever you see here inspires you and motivates you to like and subscribe. I would love to have you along for my journey. And also, if you are new here, drop me a comment and let me know a little bit about yourself as well as your journey. I would love to follow your journey along and root for you as well. So it has been very much of what us Northerners call a hot minute since I last posted a video for you all. So I'm going to go through a slew of updates, really going to try to make this as quick as possible because I do want to get into what had happened at my first visit with the obstetrician because I did have that appointment this past Friday, February 24th, and I definitely want to be able to get into the details of what happened at that appointment. So let's go ahead and and I did jot down some notes of what I wanted to pretty much update with you all, so I can try to stay on track in chronological order, as well as try not to leave any information out. So the first was January 19th. I might have mentioned it to you all, but January 19th, I did go through a transvaginal ultrasound. At that visit, I did let them know that I was going to refuse the glucose intolerance test, which anyone that is not familiar, it is simply a test that takes place where it's basically testing your glucose intolerance. And there is a requirement where you simply drink a 50-gram amount of pretty much liquid sugar. I'm going to call it as it is. It is 50 grams of liquid sugar. They have you basically drink it. They wait an hour and they draw your blood because they're trying to see how your body responded. I am gonna definitely refuse that because for someone that has been away from processed sugars for over 5 years, it does not make any sense. It definitely does not make any medical sense of why I would subject myself to that. So they were aware. So from that first appointment, they did put a plan in place that I can test my sugars at home 4 times a day. So simply just using a blood glucose meter at home, which I purchased from Amazon. They are super affordable. Definitely read the reviews, definitely read the details and the specs to make sure what kind of accuracy range that it has. But I purchased something super cheap, had great reviews. So that's what I have been using. So it was to test 4 times a day for 2 weeks and simply just to log that information day to day. So I did continue to do that, and then I had requested if they can also do an HbA1c, because even though I was going to track my sugars for a period of 2 weeks, I wanted them to have a clear understanding, because with the HbA1c, they are able to see the previous 3 months worth of what my blood sugar range looks like. So I felt like that would definitely be a wake-up moment for them of seeing basically my whole reasoning with them that I have been staying away from sugar. I've been eating very clean. So I felt like that would be able to demonstrate to them absolute proof of, what exactly I was telling them. So come January 24th, they did do just a basic pregnancy intake blood work, which is kind of like what they consider their full panel for pregnancy. I did go through that, as well as I went through a urinalysis. That visit wasn't the best of the best because unfortunately the phlebotomist, she was new. And it's not more so that she was new, because I would never knock anybody for being new, because we all have to definitely start somewhere, but she was nervous. And I think it was simply a matter of her nerves got the best of her, because thankfully I have very good veins. I've always been complimented by nurses and phlebotomists for how well my veins are, for them to actually be able to locate my veins and to be able to draw blood. But because she was very nervous, she was not holding the actual trach that actually holds the needle. She was not able to hold that in place with one hand as she stretched with her other hand to basically grab the other vials to continue drawing blood. So she kept moving away too far, which caused the trach to actually come out. So I did go through 4 different sticks for her to actually fully be able to complete all the vials that she needed for that blood draw. I also went through a urinalysis. So that appointment, January 24, was simply blood work, urinalysis, and an overall intake, because they were trying to see if they could estimate possibly what my due date would be based off on the transvaginal ultrasound visit. So because they could not figure what my due date would be, that intake nurse, she actually put in a message for me to get a follow-up to basically have all my information reviewed for them to pinpoint what due date they're going to assign for me. That weekend, it would have been the weekend of January 26th, we went to Legoland in Orlando, celebrated our youngest son's 7th birthday. It was a complete surprise for him, so it was super exciting for all of us, especially for him. I was able to keep on plan. I will say Legoland is very theme park friendly when it comes to being able to stay on plan. We had stayed at one of their resorts, and breakfast is included with the resort stay, and they take it very seriously. So when we explain to them that we do have special dietary needs, our oldest son, he does have some food allergies, the waitress immediately. So mind you, even though the breakfast is included in the hotel stay, in the resort stay, it is still very much like a restaurant style where you are assigned a waiter or waitress and they are simply serving you throughout that time period. So the waitress that we had, she was very kind, very sweet, and she was able to get the chef. So that straight off the bat completely impressed me, because for you to say that there is a dietary need or that there are allergies, and for them to take it so serious to actually getting the chef to come tableside was huge. So we had the chef come out for both of the breakfasts that we partaked in. So it was Saturday as well as Sunday for that weekend, and we were able to have things like scrambled eggs, and their scrambled egg is just simply egg. A lot of places, be careful with scrambled egg, especially when it comes to hotel or resort breakfasts, because sometimes to make the scrambled egg a little more fluffier, they might add pancake batter. I did not have that issue with Legoland. They assured me it was just going to be egg only that they were going to give us. My family, because they are keto, they were able to have, it is a veggie sausage patty is what they ended up getting. And it is a box product. So could it have been the cleanest of the clean? No, we were on vacation. So we did the absolute best for a vacation circumstance. So I think we still get an A+ for that breakfast, because still yet it truly, truly, truly was as best of a keto situation as you can have. So aside from the scrambled eggs, it was the veggie sausage they had. And then they usually give a fruit platter. The fruit platter usually has, I'm trying to think of the fruits. It was pineapple, cantaloupe, honeydew, and strawberry. So I had asked them, because for me, I wasn't going to have any fruit, But then again, for my keto hubby, as well as kids, I wanted to find out if are they prepared already with all the fruit kind of like on a plate or a platter, or do they have the option where we can simply just get the strawberries, because of course strawberry is keto with it being a berry, and they were completely okay with that. They said that they do actually have some separated within the fridge that they basically would take from that when the actual prep person handles putting those platters together. So they were very, very accommodating when I tell you. They even had a Chobani zero sugar yogurt they brought for the kids. I mean, it was more than enough that they try to supply us with, that the kids, they even took the yogurt to go because they were just completely stuffed with as much as they had gotten. And for myself, I simply just enjoyed just the eggs. I was able to get some cheese that they provided me, and I was completely stuffed. We did have some options. So we did use a grocery store that was local where we were able to get some rotisserie chicken. So again, it's not the cleanest of the clean, but we are talking about vacation. So we did the very best. And when it came to our last and final night, we actually ate at one of the resort dinners. It was a buffet style, and it was amazing. They had a roast carving station. I was able to partake in the roast. They did have the gravy or the sauce on the side. So simply the carving station was just the meat only. I was able to confirm with them they did not have any sugars in their seasoning, so it was just straight up seasoning. I had that. They also had a baked or a broiled salmon. I did definitely partake in that. And I did go to where they had a taco bar, and I was able to get some sour cream because I did reintroduce avocado. I was able to get some avocado and some sour cream. And I just kept going back for more of those options because it was just absolutely like delicious. But for anyone that's ketovore, you would have had a full-blown salad bar that was available to you. There would have been shredded beef, ground beef at the taco station, that you could have even made like a taco salad, of course, minus the tortilla chips. But there were endless amount of options when I tell you. It was just literally so much options for you to remain on keto. So definitely everyone does vacation differently. For me, I'm very much somebody that I am fearful that I'm going to get sick, and I definitely don't want to get sick away from home, especially when I'm trying to enjoy and celebrate my son's birthday. We definitely want to make it about him, his happiness, celebrating him, and not make it revolved around the food. But then again, it was so nice to be able to still enjoy what we ate. We were able to enjoy the experience. So it definitely, all in all, Legoland, hands down, would absolutely suggest it. So after that weekend, that next following week, I got a phone call from the OBGYN office. They had told me that the blood work that was taken from me January 24th with that newbie phlebotomist, something went wrong with the vials, with the samples. The lab did not find them usable. I don't know exactly what happened, if it was part of the blood draw, if it was something after the fact, you know, the handling. I don't know exactly what happened. But for me, I'm pretty much easygoing. So they needed me to come back in to redo the blood work. So I scheduled it for that Friday of that week, which fell on February 2nd. So here I go in for the blood work. Then I was told that the doctor went ahead and did agree for me to do the HbA1c. So we were also able to get that completed. And then also, to no surprise, the newbie phlebotomist also, they don't know what she did with the urine collection. So the urinalysis was nowhere to be found. It was not logged in the system. I hope someone that is not pregnant did not get my results, because that would definitely be a disaster for somebody. So hopefully they did not mix it up with anybody, but then again, mine was completely missing. So who's to know what had happened with it? So I had to also redo that. Once we took care of all of that, the blood work, the urinalysis, I was then told that I had to wait in the office because they were trying to decide, because they did not know what my due date was going to be. So I had to simply wait there, had to have a visit to the hospital to go for additional testing because they were trying to narrow down my due date. So all in all, I was able to get a due date of September 3rd. So that's exciting to have a basically finish line for this pregnancy. So September 3rd is my assigned due date. And aside from that, I also had to, because that appointment was so lengthy, was extremely lengthy, I actually had to miss that February 2nd Friday Night Live that my partner in crime, Cindy DeManch, and I do. I was so upset because it was with Just Jason Keto. And early on in my journey last year, he had interviewed me, and it meant the world to me, only because I was really pretty much a nobody. I still consider myself a nobody in this space compared to a lot of other channels out there. But as you all know, I'm just me. I keep it real. So anyone that I can inspire, I am all the more happy for when I see my subscriber number go up, because it shows me that there's a lot of interest for people wanting to change and to simply just take a chance, just like I did, and to see where it leads them, and to be only regretful that they did not start any sooner. But I formally apologize to Jason. I am hoping to definitely schedule him, because I wholeheartedly appreciate what he does for the community. He interviews everyone and anyone to put their story out there, to be able to inspire others, and to just highlight that person with all the success that they've had on their journey. So I would love to basically have him on for a future date. That way I don't miss out, and I could definitely be there for his interview. So I did finish my 2 weeks of my blood sugar testing. I did finish it on February 13th. I pretty much have been keeping to the minimum. I can tell you from when I found out I was pregnant, December 30th. So I would say a little bit into January up until the middle of this month of February, I have had such a decrease in appetite. So that is why I have not been doing any what I eat in a day or what I eat in the week, because everyone knows what bone broth looks like, knows what boiled eggs or scrambled eggs look like. That's pretty much, I've literally been having just like the bare minimum. Also, unfortunately, at that appointment, February 2nd, there was a sick child in the waiting room. I had gotten sick from that child, unfortunately, because as soon as literally, it was like the very next day, I was so sick. It hit me like, people say, like it hits you like a ton of bricks. I was coughing and I was just extremely, extremely sick. And it took me over a month to get over that horrible cough that I went through. So I literally just got over the cough. I want to say it's been like about a week now. So I'm still, right at this point, I'm still newly recovered from that cough that I went through. So that also had me really feeling like I did not want to really eat too much. I kind of just really kind of kept things at the minimum. But I still felt very satiated. So Come that very next day, February 14th, after I finished my blood sugar lock for 2 weeks, my husband and myself, we celebrated our 18th wedding anniversary. We had gotten Texas Roadhouse to go. I definitely do not like to go to any restaurants for sit down on any type of holidays, especially something like Valentine's Day where a lot of people are dining out. I like to avoid any of those restaurants for that entire week. So we just got to go. We did make sure to let them know in advance that we don't want any of their rolls that they have. What I ordered was they have these options that is under the category of Texas Combo, and I get their ribeye steak. It is so amazing, their ribeye steak. But I get their ribeye steak. It is a 12-ounce steak, and the combo that I get comes with a skewer of shrimp. And I do get side dishes that my keto family members are able to eat. That way I can still get my bang for my buck, if you will. So like my husband, when he takes his work lunch, he can easily take like a side salad, the way it's boxed up and the way the dressing is also boxed up. We usually just stick with like a vinaigrette type of dressing that would not really have any sugars or anything like that. So the oils might be a little bit wonky when it comes to the oils for the vinaigrettes, but we don't stress the little small stuff, especially when it comes to my husband and the kids. They've been doing so well these past over 5 years with their keto. Something as minimal as that, a little tiny controlled portion of dressing is not going to break their keto journey, especially for a once in every, year or so indulgence with that. When it came to my steak, I literally only ate like half the steak. I did have only a few of the shrimp skewers because funny enough, our 7-year-old, he ate his entire shrimp skewer, and then of course he had his eyes on mine. And as parents, we're always sacrificing, so I definitely gave up the remaining of my shrimp for him. So I want to say I had maybe like 1 or 2, or possibly just 1 even, and then he simply just devoured the rest. But aside from my decrease in appetite, I have definitely been keeping up with this mostly carnivore, keto-ish way of eating. We did do a really big haul at Costco. I did not get a chance to record it because our Costco is a little bit of a distance. The one that we favor is a little bit of distance. So we really were in crunch time to get everything away in the freezer as quick as possible. I did post on my community tab, my husband had cut up, it was a New York strip, really big slab of meat. It was a little over 15 pounds worth. So we were able to, or he was able to kindly get that sliced up into ribeye steaks for us. And it came out to be about 17 steaks is what he was able to cut out of it. So that is definitely always super exciting because it is a huge savings to be able to have 17 steaks put away in the freezer. And the cost on it, it was about like $9 and change per pound is what it was. I don't have the exact figure because he simply just cut off the seal off of it and tossed away that plastic seal wrapping so quickly because he was just ready to kind of just really cut it up and put it away. But it works out to be, I want to say, for about as much as we got, roughly $7 per steak, which is definitely not bad at all, especially for anything like New York strip steak or even like a ribeye steak. Having it be about $7 per steak is huge when it comes to savings. So if you have an opportunity where you do have a little bit of extra money to spend, definitely try to take advantage of shopping around for those slab of meats and cutting them up, because to get your freezer stocked will be amazing, because then you're just figuring to have some fillers. So because for the most part, you would have beef covered. If you like seafood, you can simply spend your next shopping trip on seafood or chicken. You necessarily don't have to include beef on that next shopping trip. You can simply just buy whatever else when it comes to variety of what you're wanting to add in. So it's just a big tip for anybody that's trying to save some money. Definitely shop your sales. So come my appointment. So I had my appointment last week, Friday. It would have been my 12-week OB appointment. So it was the very first time that I was meeting the OB. And I'm trying to get myself prepared for what took place at this visit. So as I'm saying, it's the very first time that I was meeting this obstetrician. I've been going to this office for over 15 years. And when I say over 15 years, we had our first son, who is now 15. We were under the care of this OBGYN office for his birth, as well as for his brother that just recently turned 7. So that's pretty much where I'm kind of getting the 15 years worth of kind of just really being their existing patient. But they have not seen me in their office for almost 7 years since I had our second. So at this appointment, it was pretty much to be a kind of first meeting with the OB, to be able to listen to the baby's heartbeat. And it was very much what they're calling an OB physical. And they were also going to do a pap smear because now that things have changed where they now have women go through every 3-year pap smears as long as your previous turned out to be negative results. So it had been over 3 years. So that's why they went ahead and took care of my pap smear as well. So basically the OB is taking care of the pap smear, and she just asks me, how am I feeling? She did ask me what my diet is like. So I did hesitate because anyone that has been following me, anybody that has been riding with me throughout this journey knows I am very blunt because as you all know from that visit that I had when I had to spend a week at the hospital in May, I was very blunt with the way of eating that I was doing. Thankfully, the doctors, the neurologists, thankfully at that time in May, they received it very well. But I was nervous when it came to this OB because of course now we're dealing with pregnancy, and you know, sometimes the opinions can just be, like I say, opinions. So I basically mentioned to her that I am simply doing a way of eating where I'm kind of just really focusing on proteins. I did tell her previously before I was doing a ketogenic way of eating, which incorporated just low carb foods. And I told her that I was doing that for a period of 4 years. And I simply just kind of switched this past over a year to really focus on just my proteins. She basically, as soon as I said that, she said, well, she said, you really need to have carbohydrates, to be able to have the baby have proper brain development. She had told me that a ketogenic way of eating is not suitable for pregnancy. For those of you that know me, I try not to be rudely blunt, but then again, I am a Jersey girl at heart. When you are raised up north, you have the opportunity, whether you venture out to absorb the knowledge, You have the opportunity to be book smart as well as street smart. So best believe I took advantage of the opportunity to be knowledgeable in both. So I told her, I don't mean to be rude, is what I said to her first, as a little opener. But I told her, that is your opinion, but there is no medical credibility to what she's saying. That a ketogenic way of eating is not suitable or is not safe for those that are pregnant. I thought I was having literally a flashback, and I'm going to post it in the description, but it was a interview that Kelly Hogan, and anyone that does not know Kelly Hogan and is doing carnivore or keto or ketovore, you are definitely missing out on a lot of good information, a lot of knowledge, because anyone that has heard, knowledge is definitely power. You definitely want to be able to fuel yourself with all that information. Yes, can it be overwhelming at times? Yes, absolutely. I totally get it. I have been in this proper human diet space for over 5 years, and some of the information can definitely be a lot to absorb, especially when there's a lot of medical jargon. But thankfully, those that I follow, like Kelly Hogan, Dr. Barry, Nurse Nisha Berry, they are very much speaking in just normal terms to where your everyday person can understand, and you don't need to feel like you need to have any medical knowledge or basically hold a medical degree to basically interpret what they are trying to put out, the knowledge and the information. So when I said that to her, you can definitely tell that she was a little ticked off because she immediately looked up from the drape of her trying to complete my pap smear. And she said to me, well, the baby needs these carbs for proper brain development. And I asked her, okay, well, can you give me some examples of which carbs, which carbohydrates are you speaking of? Because certainly when it comes to keto, there are some carbs that can be consumed, but let's kind of get on the same page. Which carbs are you speaking of? So here she goes through, well, you should be having some pasta, and you should be having some rice. And during breakfast, you should have at least like 1 slice of toast. You can also have potato, you can have sweet potato. So these were like carbohydrates that she was kind of giving as an example of what I should be consuming. I explained to her, I was very sick and I was over 300 pounds since they had last seen me, since I had our second child. During that time period, I had gained over 300 pounds. And I told her I was very much eating what she is speaking of, because I was not a sweets type of addict. I very much had a food addiction to your savory foods. Absolutely, I love potatoes. Absolutely did I love bread. Was I a little bougie when it came to my bread and I needed like bakery style bread? I did not, want to settle for anything in the bread section. I had to have it bakery style. So I was a little bit bougie with my choices. I was spoiled growing up by my grandmother with fresh baked goods. So I definitely wanted the best of the best for my food addiction. And I told her that I don't want to go into reverse. There's no way I'll go into reverse. I explained to her, I had back pain. I had hip pain. I had heel spurs that I developed that had radiating pain all the way up my thigh, caused me to have no mobility at all, to very little mobility, to the point that my husband was grocery shopping for us, and I was virtually on the phone with him while he was having to go shopping around the store. My husband was there in the room. And when I tell you, my husband, he's very much the type, he will not interfere. It really takes him a lot to really get involved and to speak up, because he pretty much wants to respect me and he figures I'm in control of the situation. But he very much was ticked off with the way that I was being spoken to, because pretty much the OB says to me, well, you can do what you want to do, but understand, if you continue the way you are, and if you continue to choose to eat the way that you are going to cause a fetal death. So you could only imagine how furious I was and how my blood was just boiling for this doctor to accuse me of causing, or potentially causing, I should say, the death of my unborn child, simply because I'm eating real food. Like, how much more ridiculous can we get? So my husband chimes in, and he flat out just shows her a picture and says that I very much am a saved man and a changed man because of her. Because she did her research, she put us all on this way of eating, and he pretty much told her that he literally looked like the equivalent of Homer Simpson. Is literally the way his belly was very round when he was on the standard American diet. And we also spoke about our oldest son, the way he was getting seizures 2 to 3 times a week. Doctors were not able to help him. We also spoke on behalf of the infertility that I had suffered from. And that is why I'm mentioning the Kelly Hogan interview with Dr. Berry, because they very much spoke on behalf of women that are doing a carnivore way of eating that suffered from infertility, but once their body got healed from a carnivore way of eating, they were able to conceive. So what really just kind of chimed in my head was Dr. Berry saying that it is pretty much, I'm not verbatim quoting him, but along the lines that it is ridiculous for a doctor, for the OB to tell the woman that she should no longer be eating this way, when it took this way of eating for me to conceive and to basically be able to have the pregnancy I have right now. So how is it not sufficient, or how is it not the proper way I should be eating for the remaining of my pregnancy? Because obviously it did my body good to get pregnant. And it only took me a year of being on the carnivore way of eating. And as you all know, I suffered from those 2 previous pregnancies. The first one, as I said, 2 years, the second one, 7 years. And mind you, it has been 7 years since we had our last child. But then again, I bet you if I was on carnivore sooner than 1 year ago, I probably would have got pregnant a lot sooner. I definitely 200% wholeheartedly believe that. But my husband goes on to telling her that yes, right now she's focused on the protein, but I'm going to give my wife the opportunity to speak for herself, but I'd rather have her go back to a ketogenic way of eating than go to the carbs that you're wanting, that you're suggesting for her to do. Because when I was a breastfeeding mother, that is when I gained the most weight. Because at my lactation consultant visits, I was encouraged to have all the fruits. I was encouraged to have all the carbohydrates, just like this OB is trying to suggest, because I was told that it would be very beneficial for my milk coming in. And I did, both times I did have very successful breastfeeding journeys where I was able to breastfeed for 33 months. That is huge for a woman to be able to do 33 months. So I feel very fortunate. I feel very blessed to be able to have the breastfeeding journeys that I had. But still yet, it was very taxing on my body, because even though I was able to supply the milk for our children, I gained a lot of weight. If you look at pictures to the time when I gave birth to both of our sons, to the point in time where I had pictures throughout the time that they were growing up, that I was still breastfeeding, I was very heavy. I was changing completely and I was getting extremely heavy, where it got to the point where with our second child, as I said, I was over 300 pounds. So my husband said that, she will completely go back to the ketogenic way of eating, but that is not going to incorporate any toast. It's not going to incorporate any potato, sweet potato, like none of what you're suggesting. But she will be having vegetables that is going to have some carbs. It's going to be lower in carb, but nonetheless, it's going to have carbs. If carbs is what you want her to have, she will be having those minimal carbs. So I spoke up and I said, yes, I will for sure do that. And also I will request that at the, because she suggested at the 20-week mark, at my 20-week mark, she's going to revisit this topic. I told her that's fine with me. But at the 20-week mark, I'm also going to request for another HbA1c to be done. And that's the other thing. She did not even review my chart to even see that February 2nd, I did have an HbA1c. And she comes back with the results. She leaves the room. She comes back with the results. By that point in time, I'm so worked up and furious that I'm already getting dressed. So she walks in the middle of me getting dressed and I told her, I don't care, come in. Let's go over the results. I'm ready to get out of here at this point. So she basically goes over the results. My HbA1c was fine. But guess what? She still had a problem. Guess why she had a problem? I wanted to give you guys a couple seconds because it is so ridiculous that even though I have lost, since the last time they saw me, I have lost over 147 pounds since they last saw me. Still yet, she made a complaint that my BMI is high. I explained to her, I was morbidly to like the high end of morbidly obese. And now I'm on the low end of obese. I'm 5 foot tall. That definitely does not do me any favors when it comes to these ranges that they try to figure, if you are, obese, morbidly obese. Being 5 foot definitely does not do me any favors when it comes to that factoring. So I explained to her, why is she not looking at the overall? Why is she not looking at blood work? Why is she not looking at like me physically? Like, am I going through any symptoms of being on the low end of obese? None of that did she take into account. So basically when she suggested that we were going to revisit the topic in 20 weeks, I had mentioned to her that we will most definitely revisit this in 20 weeks. And I will definitely be ordering for a repeat HbA1c to be done. And accredited to that Kelly Hogan interview with Dr. Berry, I also told her that if she's not fully satisfied with my passing results of my HbA1c, she can also order a C-peptide. That way, she's able to get the full information on how my body is handling the sugar or the glucose. And she, like, if you just saw her face at that point when I told her that she could also order a C-peptide, she like was in complete and utter shock. So that's thanks to Dr. Barry, because definitely I did not have that knowledge before to kind of throw that at her. So that was nice to have her in like a little bit of a shock moment. So she agreed, and my husband and myself, we were ready to get out of there. Thankfully, my OBs for that office is sporadic. It's just random OBs. So she is not my assigned OB, thankfully, is what I found at a checkout. The office, they just don't have the capability to have any assigned OBs. If anyone has a preference, it's basically goes by like an appointment basis. Whoever is on call when your next appointment comes up is basically, you know, who you see. I know she's not going to be the happiest of happy if I am her next visit or any future visits to come, because I really stood my ground with her. So all in all, you all are going to see incorporations of adding keto stuff. So I am going to incorporate vegetables back. Some of you have heard me say this before. My whole point of doing carnivore was to basically be able to heal, to basically start from a clean slate. But I do not have the cult-like mentality when it comes to carnivore. I had nothing against keto. As I said, my husband and kids, they continued on with keto. They still continue on with it to this day. So I don't have any objections to cold turkey pretty much having to go back to keto. So today, right now, we are at Monday, February 26th. So I definitely wanted to be able to have a break from what I experienced on Friday over the weekend, and figured, you know, to get this on a video. But my whole point of doing this video is to truly enforce to my fellow women out there, especially my fellow pregnant women out there, stand your ground. Do not feel intimidated by anyone, especially when it comes to the medical professional. Try to be respectful, because, you know, they are there doing a job, and we definitely want to be respectful, because first and foremost, that's human kindness we should be extending to everybody and anybody. So try to do it with kindness, but also make sure you are also respected in return, and really stand your ground. When it comes to the glucose intolerance test, I'm definitely standing my ground on that. When it comes to my way of eating, yes, am I changing things to a ketogenic way of eating? And I'm gonna have to just kind of see how things go, because I did have some irritations of something I was incorporating part of my ketogenic way of eating. So we'll kind of just have to take things and see how it goes. But we did, yesterday, we did go to a local farmer's market. So we are fortunate to have farmer's markets in the area that they really grow in a clean manner. So thankfully we were able to really stock up. So when I tell you stock up, I had spent, and the only reason why I remember this total is because you will hear it. We spent $122.22. So because it's simply that one and 4 twos to follow, that's how I remember the total. But to spend $122-ish at the farmer's market, you best believe I did some keto vegetable spending. So you're gonna definitely see a lot of those meals coming up. I am gonna start documenting my meals again. I did do my first meal of today already. I already have that recorded. So coming up, you'll be able to see that in an upcoming video for what I ate in the week. Because y'all, I just been really busy. When it came to me not posting and having that pause, I've been extremely busy. My eating was very minimal, very simple, but I definitely still very much have the passion for putting this content out there, because I want to make sure that anyone that's going through similar experiences like what I've been going through, that they have somebody that they can connect with, and someone that has a relatable experience as well, because it is awful to feel alone in the moment when you think you're going through something. But then when you come across somebody that has gone through the same experience, it gives you a little bit of comfort. Does it make everything all better? No, but it definitely makes you feel a whole lot better about the situation. So that is pretty much what I have planned coming up. So for anyone that does not see this video, they're gonna start seeing some veggies on my plate and they're gonna be very confused. So definitely I suggest for everyone to kind of listen back to this video, and that's very much what I mentioned in that first plate that I show, because I did incorporate tomato for my first meal. Very simple. It was just some sliced tomato from the farmer's market, and I salted it with some Redmond salt, and that is what I simply had on the side. So I'm still keeping things very, very simple, very easy. I may dabble in a few recipes here and there. We'll definitely have to see how it goes. I definitely don't want to set anything in stone, because as you all know, aside from creating content and loving to have this YouTube space to connect with you all, I work full-time, I homeschool our kids full-time, as well as taking care of everything else under this roof of a house. So definitely very, very busy. Someone did express to me that, you know, if it was a passion thing, I very much have a passion for the proper human diet. If I did not, I would not be here over 5 years later. I just definitely will not. But I really think that, you know, it's not really more so just passion, because you could definitely put a lot of content out there just to kind of put something out there, and that is not me. For me, I have a lot of stuff in my life that is going to definitely take priority. Family will always come first, and I'm always going to put my family first. That very much speaks on behalf of my job, because financially it makes our lives as a family a lot more comfortable. So definitely family as well as my work will always be a priority, but I am very much here to stay when it comes to the Friday Night Lives. I have an absolute blast doing them. And, you know, definitely I am so blessed to be able to have Cindy to do them with, because the way her and I connect, we truly have an amazing friendship. So I'm so grateful and so appreciative for her as well. And I've already spoken to her on behalf of what took place at the appointment. She did want my husband. She said it would be great if my husband was able to come on video, but he is not home as of yet. I wake up super early. I actually get to work at 3 a.m. That way I'm able to leave early. That way I can take care of all the house stuff and the stuff with the kids. So I take advantage of going in early, only to be able to leave early. So he's definitely not home as of yet. I did ask him if he wanted me to wait on him, and he's the type that he just told me, just as he always does, he said, I will always support you, but from behind the scenes. So that's his little joke that he does. But I don't want to make this any more forever long, because looking at my timing here, I'm literally almost close to the 1 hour mark, but it was a lot to update. So anyone that has hung out for this long, thank you so much. I definitely appreciate listening and investing in the time to listen to this video. And as always, everyone as a whole, as always, thank you all for the kind words, the support. It means the absolute world to me wholeheartedly. And thank you all for watching. I appreciate you all. Until the next one, take care, my friends.